What's up, everybody? This is the Magic Treehouse. What's up, everybody? This is the Magic Treehouse, and I'm Merlin. Tonight, we'll be talking with a upcoming artist. So, CineMatik, why don't you tell us, who is CineMatik?
CineMatik is a very unknown artist, I would say that. But makes art nonetheless. I'm an artist out of the Central Coast, and I have been making music for at least, I'd say, like 8 years. And this is probably one of my first times actually putting myself out there the way, an artist should. I'm pretty low-key with my music. That's where I am. And I'm glad to be here to talk about music.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here. I just wanted to ask, like, you mentioned you're from the Central Coast, but how we met was at the Underground event where you were featured on one of Cav's songs. So I got to see you live.
Yes. Yes, and I don't know, dude, that was my first time performing.
Oh.
Yeah, you have no idea. Like, when I got home after that whole trip, I was just thinking, I was like, man, like, that shit was probably so cringe.
No. No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
I used to live in Southern Cali. I've moved so many times down California. So it was pretty nostalgic being out there again. I loved it, dude. Like, it was really cool that, Cav took me out there. We did our thing. But, yeah, I didn't really expect anything to come out of that, really. Like, that whole trip. Like, it was cool to go out there. Mm-hmm. But then, like, when you approached me and all that, I was like, fuck yeah, like, it was worth it. I didn't know what to expect. Even now, like, I don't even know what to, where this is going or where it's going to go,
Yeah, I think that's the beauty in it. Like, you don't always want to be on your toes knowing everything, right? Like, it's always fun to be surprised here and there.
Yes. It's like a gift and a curse for me, though. Because, like, if you don't plan things, it kind of fucks you over.
Oh, no, I resonate with that so much just because I really like knowing what I'm about to do. So I definitely can't surprise myself.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But, like, growing up in the Central Coast, you were here in LA, like, would you say you have a different sound compared to, like, an LA style sound?
Yeah. Actually, no, because, okay, so I moved to the Central Coast when I was, like, 15 or so. Mm-hmm. I'm 23 now, so that's, quite a few years. But from the time I was, like, 12 going to 15, like, I was listening to a lot of underground artists in Southern Cali, like LA area. And so obviously it's kind of just grown on me, like that kind of, the flows, the sounds and like my beat selection and all that. Mm-hmm. Like I know what like Southern Cali or like LA artists sound like. And so, but that's also the beauty of like just evolving is because like I don't really just limit myself to that. Like I don't want to have like a gangster sound or like I don't want to have too much of an indie sound, like mm-hmm. I want to, kind of just adapt to a lot of things.
Well, I was just going to ask like you wanting your own sound, being here in LA and then going to the Central Coast, like what kind of led you down to thinking, oh, you know what, I could probably make music too? Or was there an artist that kind of inspired you who was like on a similar path?
Definitely. Actually, there's two factors of this. So I had a friend, a homie at the time. He's still my homie. He just moved away. But yeah, he's like my childhood friend. Like he was the one. He when I first met him, like when I was like in middle school, we were like 13 or so. Mm-hmm. He was always writing raps in his phone. Like he was like trying to be Eminem, bro. And he was like a good rapper, even at such a young age.
Yeah.
But that's why we like clicked, is because like we both loved Eminem and just like hip hop and all that. Mm-hmm. But he was like he had already been doing it, like just writing raps, understanding like how to freestyle and all that. Mm-hmm. And he kind of just pitched the idea. He was like, "Yo, like you should try it too," I was like, I guess, but it didn't really click for me until after I moved here when I was like 15 or so. because I feel like that's just when you I don't know if you've moved a lot in your life or like had to relocate. Um, but it does kind of take a toll on you when you're younger, you know? Mm-hmm. You kind of like have to switch up who you are. Like, you know, you have to find a whole new set of friends. And like, it was, I think making music for me at the time, like when I just actually started writing music, it was a way to just kind of like identify, you know, like figure out who I am or like, but, you know, what I am. and, but yeah, that, and there was an artist I listened to back in Southern Cali, named Fora. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh yeah, like what's it called? I think he has a song called like To the Moon or something.
Oh yeah, dude, he has a lot of amazing music. And in 2012 he dropped his first album when he was 18. Mm-hmm. Dog, like I downloaded that shit like because I had already been up. Like he was like unknown, bro. Like you know. Mm-hmm. And so he was also one of those people that like showed me like, dude, you can anybody can really do it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I just feel like you have, okay, like that's kind of biased, but you know, I have some story to tell, you know? Mm-hmm. No. And, just listening to artists like that and just, you know, just doing my own thing, like trying to figure out who I am, you know, it's kind of what made me just want to continue doing it because, I don't know, everybody has some level of trauma, you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
We all deal with our own issues.
Exactly. And I feel like the more like you talk about it, the more you can relate to someone, not putting your problems onto someone, but just, you know, accepting it, being there presently. And so
that's a cool saying. Someone told me you gotta be the person that you wish was there, you know, like
yeah.
Like you gotta say the words that you wish you heard, you know, like that's what's so cool about making music, man. And
well, I was just gonna ask, like, because since you were like moving, I don't want to say you got used to moving, but you went from here to there, and so like, would you say like creating these songs kind of made this little home for you, like music, writing songs and things like that? Was your home, or was it just to like express yourself?
It was like a, you know, like a home for me, like probably like a second home. Just honestly, it was probably like the safest place I felt, you know. Mm-hmm. Due to like living situations and you know people around me. Yeah. There were times where like the only thing I really felt right, like the only right thing to do was to, you know, make music. Even if it was just like thinking, you know, of an idea for a song or just writing a few lyrics, like it was all worth it every day. Then like I'm trying to do something in music. Mm-hmm. And it's because it feels right. If it feels right, it must be right, in my opinion.
Right. You're not like, it's not like you're chasing this business idea or like thinking about the fame, but I think it's important that, like you just mentioned right now, it wasn't your home. You weren't trying to replace anything, but you felt safe, you know?
Exactly.
And that's what kind of called you into like creating more music, like discovering new paths in it, like finding your passion just because of that safety, how much you loved it. That's why I was asking, like,
people call me crazy for some of the things I do for music. Like, they don't see it the way, or you know, they haven't experienced the things that I've experienced, and that's not to say like I'm better than you or something, but you know, it's like it really does. Like to me, I see the results. You know, even if nobody sees it, it's like I've seen them, and I know what it feels like to, you know, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it wasn't.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate to that just because for me, like just coming, I wouldn't say like, I wouldn't call my home my safe space, but like when I sit at my desk, you know, when I'm going to like start writing something, I don't know why, but I just feel so at peace. Obviously, that's not the same as making music and things like that, but it's just kind of like I can like freehand write something, freehand talk about something. And I just feel so much comfort in that.
There's not a lot of things you can do, like where you can be yourself, like, you know, especially like if you work jobs or something like, and that's mainly what was my motivator was like, I don't want to be like working certain jobs my whole life, or like when people really put it in perspective, it's like, dude, that's what you want. Like, I'm too much of a creative, and Yeah, like it is. It's also therapeutic. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I remember one R&B artist who just straight up said that too. And I think her name was Samia. She's like an R&B style artist,
That is a
and
really cool name.
it's really pretty, right? She's like saying the same thing what you just said right now. Like music is therapeutic for her, you know, in a way. Like for me, it's journal writing, but for you, like songwriting is basically the same thing where you get to express yourself, but in a more, I would say, in a more creative way.
I mean, there was something cool that Eminem said one time. Basically, some of his writing process is like taking the simplest ideas and just stretching them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I'm at in my kind of career as an artist. Is where like it's like I don't want to be a rapper all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I just can't be in that mindset. So when I say like I'm an artist or you know talk about art, it's like I'm not just talking music. Like I get inspired by anything, dude. Like animes, movies. Obviously, you can tell my name, like CineMatik, you know. But yeah, like it's cool to step into these worlds and then step out of them, and then you know you've been in these worlds, and it's like a mirror, you know. Like there's so many things that like, especially the timing. It's like it speaks to me, and it's like it makes sense to kind of talk about it, you know.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, just like going off of your name, cinematic, like have you always thought about like a music career or do you also do like video production on the side? Like
kind of. I was actually working on a little music video before you called me. um, Mainly right now, I am like I do like photography pretty much. Like all the art you see on my Insta,
mm-hmm.
pretty much all me. I will tell you like in the post that like this is not me. For the most part, I'd say like photography is like another side thing I do. Um, but right now, I'm barely jumping into like production, like beat production,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, it's like I'm realizing the power behind sound and all that. But to be honest, man, like film and all that, like I do want to film something one day. That's like the dreamer in me. Like I do want to make some sort of film, tell a story, and like yeah. I can get inspired by like my next beat tape is pretty much about. You ever seen like Ready Player One?
Yeah.
You know how they brought all these different worlds into one thing?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's pretty much the concept behind the beat tape I have coming up. It's really cool. It's a cool concept because like when you know what I'm like referencing, you're gonna see that like I'm taking inspiration from all these different worlds of art, you know, and just bringing it into one. And that's kind of like the coolest shit to me. Like,
yeah, having the key within your hands, right, and just creating everything or anything you want.
Anything, dude. It's the power of the internet too, man. Like,
right, and now we even have AI. So, like, really, what's stopping us?
Well, yeah, it really is. And dude, you make a good point. You're totally right. Like, what is stopping us? Nothing is stopping us. I feel like, I mean, I'm not afraid to speak my mind, and that's precisely what makes me an artist. But like, you'd be surprised. Like, I think the reason why I kept going too was like my friends were telling me like, dude, this. It was trippy when I like had one of my friends, like really macho friend, like tell me, he's like, bro, like I've cried to one of your songs. I'm like, oh. It's one of those things. It's like sometimes you'll say some things, you'll express some things that other people really do think, but they're like, they're too afraid to put it out there. Like
it's just like being vulnerable in front of like people you don't know, people you don't know how they're gonna react to your music, basically strangers. But like these are like, I don't want to say like your deep dark secrets, but like very heavy emotions can be revealed throughout just one song, or not even the whole song, but like a verse. You could put something very powerful in there. So I think that's what
I was scared about that at 1st. The main thing for me was just like family seeing us. And I mean, my friends know who I am, obviously. At least I hope so. But it was mainly like family because, there's been a lot that's happened. I try not to speak on everything that's happened, like in my life situation, because I know that like my sisters see this, or like my aunts, my uncles, and my mom, Mm-hmm. So I try to be very like, I wouldn't say I'm hiding it or like about it.
But you're private about it.
Yeah, very private. It's like, if I don't want to talk about it, why am I going to put it on the table like that,
Yeah, no, I respect that. Because I feel like at the same time, like you don't need everyone knowing your business. Your songs are like this for a reason. It's not like you made this up in your head. Like they were feelings that you were feeling.
Here's an example. Like J. Cole, you know J. Cole, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know he had a kid. Like, that's the type of thing. And so, like, when I was watching this interview by him, he was like, talk about his kid and all that. I'm like, bro, you have a kid?
Since when?
Since when, But it made me realize, I was like, bro, you don't have to put everything out there, Mm-hmm. Like, when you listen to his music, it's like he talks about it, but like in a very like subtle way. Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't want people going in my life like that. It's like,
yeah, I mean, I agree, because it's just like, not saying like everyone's a bad person or everyone's nosy, blah, blah, blah. But like for me, if something is very special to me, if there's like, or very important, like maybe some things going on in the family, a relationship I have, in my head, I automatically think, why do I need random people to know about that? Like for me, it's not a necessity,
Like, I just really wanted people to like, just like it, But I kind of got over that. Mm-hmm. But even now, it's like, I don't know like how people perceive me, Like, I know I'm a good artist, but it is also a scary thought of like, who is actually listening, Like, who is, and do they even like me? Or like, would they like me if I met this person in person? It's like,
I think
I don't know.
It's common actually to have these thoughts in your head, like these questions. Like, is this song like something someone would like, or blah, blah, blah. But I think at the end of the day, and I can only say this using myself as an example, when I was creating this podcast, those questions were constantly on my mind, because I was just like, who is going to listen to this? Who wants to know more upcoming artists besides like mainstream artists, like all these questions. But at the end of the day, it came to, it makes me happy. I want to discover artists. So I go back to what I said earlier. What's stopping me? It's me. I'm stopping myself.
Yes, you're right. Bro, I love that. That's really cool. It goes back to like just the age of the internet too. Mm-hmm. You're like taking full advantage of this like era of music.
I mean, if I don't, then someone else will. And so exactly. I want to say like I went after the things that I wanted. Which I'm sure it's the same for you, like creating your songs. Like, I think one of them was called Mirrors.
And did you listen to that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. That's my shit, dude. That is my shit.
I mean, not gonna lie, that kind of made me feel, it gave me a little kickback of where I was at like a few years ago. Just like the song in general. Like I can't go off the lyrics by heart, but you mentioned this part like you were suffocating, and I don't know why I just had like a
I'm basically that whole song basically mirrors like everywhere you look. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the time when I wrote it, mm-hmm. I felt like I was projecting onto the world, Mm-hmm. Like just I felt like the world owed me something, or like something was taken from me in a sense. But then I started looking around, and it's like, dude, you're just looking at a mirror. It's like nobody really truly knows
what you're going through,
like what we're going through, what we're going to do, where we want to be and all that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is actually a single off of an album I have coming. Oh. But the whole album's written from the perspective of like when in the future.
Well, see, I think it's in the future. Can you explain that? Because then I'll explain why I felt that way.
So like, think of it like, you know how I told you how I've taken all this inspiration from like animes and movies? Mm-hmm. The album is basically inspired by a video game. Mm-hmm. I would say this here, and probably here only.
Yes!
The game Cyberpunk. You know the game Cyberpunk?
I haven't played it, but I know of the name.
it profoundly changed me as like not only as a gamer, because I've been gaming since like I was a kid, but just as a person. Like when I played it, bro, it's not just a video game. Like just the music too. The music is what inspired me to keep creating the album, is because they specifically made music for that game.
Yeah.
The game's about the future, you know?
Yeah, no, I actually remember seeing a song that became really popular, and then I didn't realize that it was actually from the video game. I just
Yeah,
thought like,
exactly.
and I thought that was so cool. Like
After I finally like just got down to it and like beat it,
mhm.
I realized it was almost like I finished watching the movie. Like I related to that character so much. But it's funny because the character I related to was my own character that I made in the game, right? The album's pretty much written as like as if I was the character from the future. And I'm just like kind of just reporting this like message to you, or like, you know.
Oh.
It's really cool. It's a really cool concept. I'm still trying to figure out how to explain it because it sounds so much cooler in my head.
No, what you're saying makes sense. When you said the last part, like you're in the future and you're just
When you hear it, like there's a lot of lyrics that you're gonna hear like when it's out. Mm-hmm. The reason I did it is because like I dream of like a better like future, you know, like I want to live in a better future. And it's scary too, because like I just think about it. Like when you really do think about the future, and like you look at siblings, you're like you look at your family, you're like imagine what your parents thought what the future would be like. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean I completely understand that, and I think Rick, like
it is scary, dude. Like I can't even express the type of fear I feel sometimes. Like
yeah, I mean like actually, so it's funny you say that like you were inspired by like cyberpunk like video games for creating the song, and it's like you in the future talking to yourself like presently, because when I was listening to the song I kind of got this flashback of me a few years ago having the feeling that you were kind of like explaining in the song about like suffocating, but that made me realize like
the suffocation part, bro, is talking about being suffocated by the city, right?
Yeah, and exactly, and that's where I was actually. Like I'm not saying like the city, but I think it's just like having a group of people around me and not being able to express who I am, you know? So like I felt very limited. So I know this is like way off of what you were going, but it's just kind of like
I'm still there.
okay. So it's just like, oh my God, like I can't be who I am. I felt like I was, go back to your song, suffocating, because I had all these people around me, but I still didn't feel like me. And so that's why it gave me a flashback from like a few years ago, and then comparing it to where I am now, like I could give a, I don't care if anyone like really accepts me for me. So it's kind of just like this big flip on like, damn, that's who I was. And this is where I'm at.
Man, like when I was out there in Ventura, like, you know, out there performing, like when I met you, man, I told a lot of my childhood friends about it, people that I still talk to. And it's like, we're not like hanging out every day like we used to, but you know, I moved away years ago and then I was back in Southern Cali to do that as like an adult. And I was just like, bro, like, and it comes back to like trying to identify who, because even now, like as an adult, it's not like I have like friends, you know, like I don't have circles of people. I'm pretty introvert, you know? And so like I really hold those bonds, or like those connections, like I really take them to heart. And so that's why I just don't write off people, or like, I mean, dude, I've had people fuck me over so many different ways, and it really just comes down to like an individual thing to like keep someone in your life, like you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like I just I really just do want to inspire like some of my closest people, you know.
I mean, like with your music that you're creating now, like taking this decision that like you want to create more, you want to be a creative, write more songs, things like that. Like, what would you say is like the most important message that you have for people who do listen to you right now and in the future?
For them to do the same, if not the same, even better. Create even more. Say the things that they don't want you to talk about. Like, you know, I have this quote. I wrote this lyric. and I put it on my bio on my Insta. Inspire the inspiration. That's my occupation. Inspire the inspiration. So basically, I'm saying like I could be an inspiration to you, right? Uh-huh. You can also be inspired by me and go on to create something that's even bigger than like what I inspired you to do, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, who really takes the credit for that? Nobody should take credit for that, bro. Like, right. You don't take credit for inspiration, you know? Mm-hmm. And, but that's mainly my main goal is to inspire people to do things that are bigger than me. If there's something you feel that passionate about, obviously it has to be like a positive thing. Like, you can't be talking about killing babies. You're like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, there's a lot of negative shit you can talk about, even with the music. Like, people that promote the use of drugs, you're like, I'll talk about the use of drugs or something, but like, strictly about my experience. I'm not out here saying like, I'm not out here making music like that. So when I do talk about these things, I'm talking about like the results, like the effects, effects it's had on me, mostly negative, you know? Yeah.
But you're still open to sharing.
And to that, you know, it's like, I'm not perfect, bro, but like, I'm still out here trying to, you know, do my best as not only a human being, but like, as like, if you truly identify yourself as an artist, bro, like you have to present yourself to the world. Everything has been said, if you think about it, you know, like everything has been said. Mm-hmm. And that's what scares me. It's like, what can I really talk about? And so when I do talk about it or talk about something, it has to be like, it has to be said in such a different way. You should just like keep trying. Your whole main goal, I feel like, should to just, you know, make people want to do that or something that benefits them in such like a spiritual way or like,
people do hurt. It's just like the way they cover it up so they don't have to show those emotions, you know?
I had my sister tell me one time, and I kind of hate, I'm not going to say names or anything, but like, you know, one of my siblings, she's like, I use drugs to kind of, you know, do this or that or like feel a certain way. But she told me, she was like, dude, like for you, it's music, you know? Mm-hmm. And that really tripped me out. It's so true. There was a point in my life where like I was demonized making music, you know, by like my family and like, and it's because they didn't see it the way I saw it, you know. Even when there were no results, they were like, "What are you doing? This, that." And I'm not going to go into detail about like where that led me. Okay. Not a stable life, obviously.
Maybe it's the consistency, maybe it's the work behind it, the passion, or they just want like solid numbers, whatever it is. That kind of like switches them on, and it's just like, oh, okay, this is not a joke. This is.
It's like, what did you expect, though? You know, it's like, dude, like, I'm not doing, like, it's so funny, man. But, like, I still forgive, like, everybody, you know, everybody that was like, what do you think you're doing type shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I forgive it because, like, I feel like at the position I'm in, probably the position you're in, bro, you have no energy to be, like, hating a motherfucker, you know?
Yeah, no, literally. Like, please hate me because then I knew I'm doing something right. Love me. I know I'm doing something right. Like, one doesn't weigh over the other at this point. Sometimes you're kind of just like, oh, man, I wish I had, you know, you as support instead of you against me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a tricky time to think back, like, to really sit down and think about it. But I'm glad because, you know, like, if I just, the minute someone told me, like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I said, bro, like, I wouldn't be here talking to you. And I just knew, like, I've had many moments like this or like that. Mm-hmm. But, like, when I was out there in Ventura and he approached me, I just knew, man. I was like, all worth it, everything from the very beginning, you know? And so, yeah, it was a crazy thought to have. It was pretty psychedelic. I was like, whoa. Confirmed, like, some of my, like, deepest, like, fears. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? But then I was like, well, somebody notices. Like, or, like, maybe you didn't even notice. Maybe you're just like, hey, yo, this guy kind of dope. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I did see that you released songs this year.
I have songs. I have too many songs.
Too many songs. Don't say it like that. But it was like back in May. That's the last one that I looked back through.
Which one was it?
The one in May that you released.
Wow. Really? I don't remember that. But like, yeah, dude.
Trying to create this community for yourself. Like in a way, that's
Pretty
how I
much.
see it. Just because, like, yeah, sure, like we all would like to get paid for our passions, our creations, right? But the fact that you're kind of starting off this way kind of shows, like, okay, I'm okay with taking my time with it just to build those solid relationships.
I really care about art, bro, and making quality music because I've heard all types of music down the spectrum, you know,
Yeah.
and I know how music affects a person, man, you know. And so when I do approach them, like when I do this and that, I try to make sure like I'll make sure to do like the delivery's right. You know, the beat isn't like it's nothing you are used to. You know, like I have this theory, bro, where like music there's gonna be no genre almost because everybody can do every genre.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, no, I
and
think that's common. I mean, well, I think that's common now too, just because um, like 90s, 2000s, like you had artists who was like focused in one genre and then later on kind of like dip their toes into other things, but they were always known as like this one type of artist, like R&B, hip hop, like they were just that, even rock artists, right?
I feel like that's what it was with like Eminem too. Like when he releases like last three albums. I wouldn't say kamikaze or like anything. I don't know if you listen to that. But,
I haven't, no.
man, like everybody who listens to Eminem, at least
Uh-huh.
motherfuckers I really do, they're like, oh man, he should rap like he did on the Marshall Mathers LP, right? That came out in like the 90s, you know, or 2000, I think. Yeah, it's a dope record, bro. But like people change, like you know,
Right.
and it just sucked to see that like some people were like, oh, you should go back on drugs, you know,
What the
you
fuck?
should do this and that. And I was like, motherfucker, like he is rapping at top tier, you know, all of a sudden. But like, yeah, I was just like, man, like, why would you want to put someone through that? You know?
Well, I mean, just talking about like change and like evolving as an artist, like you've released what these three songs in this year alone as singles. Now, you're saying like you're coming up with a new album. And so is that going to be like similar to like what you've been releasing or can we expect like different sounds with that?
It's different sounds.
Okay.
I made them specifically to like pretty much for all music lovers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's like strictly hip hop beats on there, and then they go straight to like EDM, and then straight to like a punk rock like vibe. You know,
Mm-hmm. No,
it's really cool when you think about it. It's really cool, and so that's what it taught me though. Like just seeing how different artists are like doing it. It's like man, like you shouldn't be afraid to like rap over guitars or something. You know,
it shows the idea that you were talking about earlier with the video games in your head, like going into different realms. And I guess that kind of reflects back to your music, like not that you want to stick in one lane or like go into different realms in one genre, but you kind of dive into different areas, right?
and I felt like I found like a gem, dude. Like when I found these beats for the album, I was like, man, I feel like nobody is out here rapping like the way I am, or like you know doing it. And it was a cool feeling, man. To create something new and different, it's worth it. You know, I find these different artists every day, and I'm like, where do I fit in?
No.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Would you say like it's important for you to fit in as an artist, or are you okay with being, you know, different?
I wouldn't say I want to fit in. Like, it's cool to bring something different, and like when people really do see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. You have one listener, then you know you're doing it right. Like you don't need a ton.
Yes, that was the shit to me. I didn't think I'd have any like followers or anything like that. But when I look at like what I have, I'm like, dude, like it's not a lot. It's not even hundreds, but it's like, bro, like.
But people are listening. I think that's like the key factor right there. Like it doesn't matter what the numbers are. Like if you're like making progress, if you're getting those numbers, if you have numbers, where's the flaw? Like what's the problem?
Exactly. And it's not like, dude, I've never paid for that shit.
Yeah.
And that's what's so common. It kind of scares me. I'm like, damn, like what kind of game? Like, I hate thinking about business, but like, you really wonder like how organic some of these people's like come up is, or like,
Well, I mean, that I feel like that's a different conversation because it's just like once you get more into it, like you're going to need a team behind you who knows what they're doing so you can get more listeners out of it, right? Connect with the right people.
Yeah.
Like you can do it by yourself for so long. Like, and I'm saying that because that's what I tried doing. And then it's just like there's always going to be someone out there who knows how to market better, who knows how to like.
I just want to like at this point, dude. I just really want to make sure I have the right people there, like genuine people there,
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's also like a common thought. Like,
I feel like if you continuously do something every day, you're just gonna be fucking good at it, bro.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
It's just gonna show, dude. It is just gonna show. So.
I mean, but when it comes to like this album that's coming out, more releases, performances, where can people follow you at?
Right now, strictly just Instagram and Spotify and Apple. And I reached out to someone on there, and they kind of just ghosted me, bro. Like for the album cover. And I was like, bro, like I was waiting months. This is why it's been taking like 2 years.
Yeah. Just finding like the real people to work with.
But that's like I was just sitting around one night, and there was an artist I followed because I'm all about art. There's an artist I followed named Fast Asleep, and he was just posting some of the coolest art. And I followed him, and I had been following him when I asked him, but I asked him, I was like, dude, like, would you want to take this idea that I have for this album? I sent him the songs and everything. And I was like, can he create something out of this? And he did. And it was really cool. And this happened like this year. But yeah, that's why I've been waiting so long. And that's like, because I don't want to just make it about me, dude. Like there's certain parts about music and art that I just can't do. And I see that other people can do it. And so that's why I like approached him. I was like, yo, like help me out with this. And we don't know each other, dude. Like we don't know where you live. None of that shit. But he was like, dude, like I'm honored to do this for you, like for free. I was like, no way, bro. What? It was cool. I told him too, like leading up to this podcast, bro. I told him, I was like, yo, this is what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna show you some love. So this is me showing you.
Do you have anything coming up soon for performances?
No, sadly. Okay. I need to figure that out.
I mean, when you do, people know where to follow you at Instagram, Spotify, places like that. So there's no worries on that. That's going to be it for the podcast. But
dude,
thank you.
It was really cool talking to you.
Oh,
it was hella dope, man. You have such a unique platform, and I think it was totally worth it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, thank you again just for being down. Like,
I like your state of mind, and I just really hope that you keep evolving with your shit, man. Because not just speaking for me, but like there's a lot of artists out there that need to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I'm more than happy to like talk to them and like get to know their story because you never know who else might like it. If you like this episode, make sure you check out previous episodes available on all podcast platforms. Don't forget, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, and Facebook at Merlin like the Wizard. Thanks again for listening. Till next time.